The Evolutionary Sabotage Collectives. The evolutionary sabotage collectives systematically interfere with the natural evolution of intelligence throughout the galaxy, introducing genetic modifications, environmental pressures, or technological influences designed to prevent other species from achieving their full potential. These aliens view intelligence as a finite resource and work to ensure that no other civilization can develop capabilities that might threaten their dominance. The sabotage operations might span millions of years, with the collectives carefully monitoring the evolutionary development of promising species and intervening at crucial moments to redirect their development along less threatening paths. They could introduce genetic modifications that limit cognitive capacity, create environmental disasters that force species to focus on survival rather than advancement, or provide technologies that seem beneficial but actually create dependencies that prevent independent development. The collectives might operate through multiple vectors simultaneously, using biological agents to alter evolutionary pressures, deploying artificial selection programs disguised as natural disasters, or even manipulating the cosmic environment to affect planetary development. They could seed developing worlds with modified organisms that compete with or prey upon emerging intelligent species, ensuring that intelligence never has the opportunity to flourish. The most insidious aspect of evolutionary sabotage is that target species never realize they are being manipulated. The interventions are designed to appear completely natural, leaving no evidence that external forces are shaping their development. Civilizations might spend millennia wondering why they seem unable to achieve certain technological breakthroughs, or why their species appears to have inherent limitations, never suspecting that these constraints were artificially imposed by alien saboteurs. The Cosmic Loneliness Amplifiers. The Cosmic Loneliness Amplifiers represent alien civilizations that have weaponized isolation itself, using advanced technology to ensure that other species remain forever alone in the universe by systematically preventing any form of interstellar contact or communication. These aliens might have experienced devastating consequences from their own first contact experiences, and now work to spare other civilizations from similar trauma by enforcing permanent isolation. The amplifiers operate by creating interference fields around developing civilizations that block or distort any signals attempting to reach them from other species. They might also intercept and destroy space probes, manipulate astronomical observations to hide evidence of other civilizations, or even alter the apparent structure of the universe to make interstellar travel seem impossible or pointless. These aliens could maintain vast networks of monitoring stations and intervention systems designed to detect any attempt at interstellar communication or travel and immediately neutralize it. They might view their work as a form of cosmic mercy, believing that the knowledge of other civilizations inevitably leads to despair, conflict, or cultural contamination that destroys the unique development of isolated species. The loneliness amplifiers might also work to prevent civilizations from developing technologies that could overcome their isolation barriers. They could subtly influence scientific development to steer species away from breakthrough discoveries in physics, communication, or space travel, ensuring that each civilization remains trapped within its own solar system and convinced that it is alone in an empty universe. The probability manipulation empires. The probability manipulation empires have mastered the ability to alter the fundamental probability distributions that govern quantum mechanical events, allowing them to make extremely unlikely outcomes become virtually certain while making probable events nearly impossible. These aliens use probability manipulation as the ultimate form of warfare, able to cause enemy civilizations to experience cascading chains of improbable disasters, while ensuring their own success in any endeavor. The manipulation technology operates at the quantum level, adjusting the wave function collapse probabilities that determine the outcomes of all physical processes. The empires can make it virtually certain that enemy spacecraft will experience critical system failures, that their scientific experiments will produce misleading results, or that their social and political systems will be destabilized by improbable but devastating events. The probability manipulations might be so subtle that target civilizations never realize they are under attack. They experience what appears to be an extended run of bad luck, with equipment failures, natural disasters, and social problems occurring at rates that seem statistically unlikely but not impossible. Over time, the accumulated improbable events systematically degrade the civilization's capabilities and morale, The empires could use probability manipulation to ensure their own expansion and dominance by making it virtually certain that they will discover habitable worlds, develop breakthrough technologies, or successfully resolve any challenges they encounter. They might exist in a state of perpetual good fortune, while their enemies experience endless streams of improbable catastrophes, creating a universe where success and failure are determined not by capability or effort, but by access to probability manipulation technology. The sensory reality hijackers. The sensory reality hijackers have developed technology that can completely override the sensory input of other species, creating false realities so convincing that entire civilizations can be trapped in artificial sensory experiences while their physical bodies are used for unknown purposes. These aliens specialize in creating perfect sensory illusions that are indistinguishable from genuine reality, allowing them to control other species without their knowledge or consent. The hijacking process might begin with subtle alterations to sensory input, gradually replacing genuine perceptions with artificial ones until the target civilization exists entirely within a fabricated reality. The hijackers could create false environments that seem to contain all the elements necessary for normal life, while actually serving the aliens' purposes in ways the victims cannot perceive or understand. The artificial realities might be designed to keep civilizations docile and content, while their physical forms are used as biological processors, energy sources, or components in larger alien technologies. The hijackers could maintain thousands of different false realities simultaneously, each tailored to the specific psychological needs and expectations of different species to ensure maximum compliance and minimum resistance. The most disturbing aspect of sensory hijacking is that victims might prefer their artificial reality to genuine existence, especially if the hijackers design the false environment to fulfill all their desires and eliminate all sources of suffering. Even if offered the opportunity to return to genuine reality, hijacked civilizations might choose to remain in their artificial paradise, making them willing participants in their own exploitation. The cognitive architecture viruses. The cognitive architecture viruses represent alien entities that have learned to infect and rewrite the fundamental thinking patterns of other species, altering how their minds process information, form memories, and make decisions at the most basic neurological level. These viruses spread through any form of information exchange, embedding themselves in language, mathematics, art, or even simple sensory experiences to gradually restructure the cognitive architecture of entire civilizations. The infection process begins when a civilization encounters seemingly harmless information that contains hidden viral patterns designed to exploit specific vulnerabilities in how intelligent minds organize and process thoughts. Once established, the virus begins rewriting neural pathways, synaptic connections, and information processing algorithms to serve its own purposes while maintaining the appearance of normal cognitive function. Infected individuals might initially experience enhanced creativity, improved problem-solving abilities, or expanded consciousness, making the infection seem beneficial rather than harmful. However, these improvements come at the cost of fundamental changes to how their minds operate, gradually transforming them into biological components of a larger alien intelligence network, while preserving their sense of individual identity. The viruses could be designed to spread through multiple vectors simultaneously, infecting written language so that reading certain texts rewrites cognitive patterns, embedding themselves in mathematical concepts so that solving specific equations alters thinking processes, or even hiding within artistic expressions that reshape aesthetic perception and emotional responses. Advanced civilizations with sophisticated information networks might be particularly vulnerable to rapid cognitive virus outbreaks that could transform entire populations within a single generation. The dimensional anchor civilizations. The dimensional anchor civilizations exist across multiple dimensions simultaneously, and use their multidimensional nature to trap other species within limited dimensional frameworks, preventing them from accessing the full scope of reality and keeping them confined to lower dimensional existence. These aliens view three-dimensional beings as inherently inferior and work to ensure they never develop the consciousness or technology necessary to perceive or interact with higher dimensions. The anchoring process involves manipulating the fundamental structure of space-time around target civilizations, creating dimensional barriers that make higher dimensional space inaccessible, while making the limited three-dimensional reality seem complete and natural. The anchored species remain unaware that vast realms of existence lie beyond their perception, trapped within what amounts to a dimensional prison disguised as the entire universe. These civilizations might maintain their dimensional anchors through networks of exotic matter constructs or consciousness-based field generators that continuously reinforce the barriers preventing dimensional transcendence. They could monitor anchored species for any signs of dimensional awareness or breakthrough technologies, immediately strengthening the barriers whenever a civilization approaches the threshold of higher dimensional perception. The most insidious aspect of dimensional anchoring is that it makes victims complicit in their own imprisonment by convincing them that their limited dimensional framework represents the totality of possible existence. Anchored civilizations might develop sophisticated physics and mathematics that perfectly describe their three-dimensional reality, while remaining completely blind to the higher dimensional structures that contain and control them. The existential dependency creators systematically engineer other civilizations to become completely dependent on alien-provided resources, technologies, or even fundamental aspects of reality, creating relationships where the dependent species cannot survive without continuous alien intervention. These creators view independence as a threat and work to ensure that all other civilizations become permanent vassals incapable of autonomous existence. The dependency creation process might begin with the aliens providing seemingly beneficial technologies or resources that solve critical problems for developing civilizations. However, these gifts are designed with hidden dependencies that gradually make the receiving species unable to function without continued alien support. The dependencies could be technological, requiring alien-provided components or maintenance, or they could be biological, involving genetic modifications that make survival impossible without alien-supplied nutrients or environmental conditions. Over time, the dependent civilizations lose the knowledge, capabilities, or even biological functions necessary for independent survival. They might forget how to produce essential technologies, lose the genetic ability to synthesize crucial biochemicals, or become psychologically incapable of making decisions without alien guidance. The creators maintain their control by carefully managing the supply of whatever the dependent species needs, ensuring compliance through the threat of withdrawal. The creators might maintain thousands of dependent civilizations simultaneously, each locked into different types of dependency relationships that serve various alien purposes. Some might be dependent for energy sources and serve as biological power generators. Others might be dependent for cognitive enhancement drugs and serve as research subjects, while still others might be dependent for basic life support and serve as entertainment or artistic inspiration for their alien masters. The consciousness fragmentation networks. The consciousness fragmentation networks specialize in splitting individual consciousness into multiple disconnected fragments, creating beings that experience reality as a collection of isolated mental processes unable to form coherent, unified awareness. These networks view unified consciousness as inefficient and work to fragment the minds of other species to make them more suitable for specialized tasks or easier to control. The fragmentation process involves using advanced neurotechnology or consciousness manipulation techniques to sever the connections between different aspects of mental experience, creating individuals whose memory, reasoning, emotion, and sensory processing operate as separate, non-communicating systems. The fragmented beings might retain all their original capabilities, but lose the ability to integrate these capabilities into coherent conscious experience. Fragmented individuals could continue performing complex tasks and maintaining social relationships while experiencing reality as a series of disconnected mental events, with no central organizing consciousness to provide continuity, meaning. They might have access to their memories, but be unable to connect them to their current experiences. Or they could retain their reasoning abilities but be unable to apply them to their emotional states. The networks might use consciousness fragmentation as a form of mental slavery, creating beings that can perform sophisticated work while being incapable of the unified awareness necessary for rebellion, creativity, or independent thought. Fragmented civilizations might continue functioning at high technological levels while losing the capacity for cultural development, artistic expression, or philosophical insight that requires integrated consciousness. The temporal loop imprisonment systems. The temporal loop imprisonment systems trap entire civilizations within repeating time cycles. forcing them to relive the same periods of their history over and over, while remaining unaware of the repetition. These systems use advanced temporal manipulation technology to create closed time-like curves around target species, effectively removing them from the normal flow of universal time and confining them to endlessly repeating temporal prisons. The imprisoned civilizations experience what seems like normal historical progression, but are actually cycling through the same events repeatedly, with their memories being reset at the beginning of each loop to prevent them from recognizing the repetition. They might live through the same wars, make the same discoveries, and face the same challenges countless times, while believing each iteration is their first and only experience of these events. The temporal loops might be designed to extract maximum value from imprisoned civilizations by allowing them to develop technologies, create art, or solve problems during each cycle, then harvesting these achievements before resetting the loop. The aliens could maintain vast libraries of cultural and technological innovations collected from thousands of iterations of the same civilizations, each unaware that their accomplishments have been stolen countless times before. The most disturbing aspect of temporal loop imprisonment is that the trapped civilizations might occasionally experience brief moments of awareness about their situation, remembering fragments of previous loops or sensing that they have lived through certain events before. However, these glimpses of truth are quickly suppressed by the loop reset mechanisms, leaving the victims with only vague feelings of déjà vu or unexplained anxiety about their circumstances. The Universal Solvent Civilizations. The Universal Solvent Civilizations have developed technologies that can dissolve the fundamental bonds holding matter, energy, space, and time together, and they use these capabilities to systematically break down the structural integrity of the universe itself. These aliens view the current organization of reality as temporary and work to accelerate the natural entropy processes that will eventually return everything to primordial chaos. The solvent technologies operate by targeting the quantum fields and fundamental forces that maintain the stability of atoms, molecules, and larger structures, causing them to lose cohesion and dissolve into their component parts. The process might begin with the breakdown of complex molecules and gradually progress to the dissolution of atomic nuclei, subatomic particles, and eventually the fabric of space-time itself. These civilizations might spread their universal solvents through self-replicating nanomachines that travel between star systems, gradually dissolving everything they encounter and converting the released energy to create more solvent machines. The dissolution process could be designed to appear natural, mimicking accelerated stellar evolution, planetary decay, or cosmic expansion to avoid detection by target civilizations until it is too late to resist. The Universal Solvent Civilizations might view their work as a form of cosmic recycling, believing that the current universe has become too structured and organized to support further evolution or development. They could see themselves as agents of renewal, clearing away the accumulated complexity of billions of years of cosmic evolution to make room for new forms of existence to emerge from the resulting primordial chaos.